Hey, thank you so much for stopping in and watching my video. I'm Jones-Williamson, and today I'll be talking about the 10 things I wish I knew sooner becoming a stepmom and blending a family. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Make sure you like this video and subscribe and share this with somebody who can really use this wisdom because, I got 10 tips. Listen, I got 10 tips. I wasn't prepped on how to blend a family and all those good things. And so here's 10 things that I've learned over the last 4 years that I wish I would have knew before. All right, number one, and I got my notes right here. Number one, everyone has advice for you, especially people who have never blended a family. People who have a nuclear family with a mom and dad and kids want to tell you how you should be a stepmom, will tell your husband how they should be a stepdad, tell them how you should be acting towards your kids, what you should be allowing or not allowing. Listen. Blending a family is not a linear thing. It is not one size fits all. It is based on what that child needs, what you need, what your marriage needs, what, the whole family unit needs. And so you're going to have to take advice with a grain of salt. And like behinds, everybody has an opinion, right? We know that saying, everybody has one, like a you know what. And that's true. When it comes to blending a family, when it comes to raising children, girl, everybody got an opinion. So just kind of be mindful of that. Take it with a grain of salt. Realize that you can take the meat and spit out the bones. Not everything is going to be perfect or apply to your situation or will work. All right. Number two, the children may call you by your first name for a while. And you have to be okay with that, especially if you come from a household or a generation where everybody is called Mr. and Mrs. or dad or mom. They're called by either a title or by some type of prefix in front of their name, right? So when we first blended a family, I was Tara, my husband was Darren, because they were not comfortable with calling us mom and dad, or we didn't have the rapport yet, and they needed more time to develop some type of nickname, And so now I'm called Momsy from my bonus children, and my daughter calls my husband, her bonus father, right, her stepfather, she calls him Eba, right? And so she was not comfortable with dad. She was not comfortable with stepdad, right? The word dad altogether. With my bonus children, they were more comfortable because they already had a step parent on their mother's side, right? And so you just have to do what works for the family, right? And in the beginning, my bonus children, they took to giving me a name for myself very quickly, where my daughter took her 3 years to not call my husband by his first name. And of course my husband had to adjust because he was raised where you don't call an adult by their first name. You either call them by their title or you call them Mr. or Mrs. whatever, and so he had to adjust. And so if we would have known that ahead of time, we would kind of probably already created some names and kind of gave that to them to choose from, but we just went with the punches. Number three, the children may blame you as the stepmother for their family not working out, their nuclear family not working out. And you have to take it on the chin. And you have to help them work through those problems, right? So you as a stepmother are a support person, not only for your husband, but also for the children that you are being blessed with, right? And so you got to remember that you can't take any of this personal. These are young children, or even when they're teens, they are children, young adults trying to work through big people problems, right? Big, complex problems, right? And so you might be the bad guy because you're the addition to the equation. And, I did watch a video about this, how it's easier to blame somebody that you're not very close to for an issue that you have with your actual parents. You kind of like shift that blame and put it on them, Is it fair? No. Do you need to address it? Potentially at some point, but know that kind of happens, right? You're kind of like the bad guy. If you wonder why my bonus children, they don't like me for some reason, or they got a little attitude with me, oftentimes it's because they're upset or disappointed or angry or mad or sad at the fact that their parents didn't work out, and they had those emotions and feelings before you came along, but it just kind of exacerbated it when they added you to the equation. All right. Tip number 4, they will act out. They will act out once the family blends together. Kids are fun and exciting, and they're on their best behavior when you first meet them, right? And your husband to be first meets your children, right? But then when y'all all get in that household and stuff becomes real, especially if they don't have a lot of emotional intelligence or haven't had any therapy or counseling around, their original parents separating, their biological parents separating, they will act out. And so you have to be mindful of that. You have to be patient. You have to realize, again, they're dealing with internal emotions and feelings that are manifesting outwardly. And so your job is not to react to them, but to get help and talk with them and help them move through those big girl, big boy emotions. All right. Tip number 5, or the 5th thing I wish I knew sooner. You have to take the back seat, even as a mama bear. So I'm a mama bear. I'm the queen of my house, right? I'm the queen of this castle, right? My husband is the head and I'm right up under it. I'm the neck, right? However, there's going to be times where you're going to have to take the back seat on some things and allow situations to play out, I would say. And if you are a stepmother, if you know, right? You're going to have to take the back seat. You're going to have to let their dad take the lead on some things. And even if it's not getting done the way you want it to, right? Being at peace is better than being right. When it comes to your marriage, when it comes to establishing a foundation in a relationship with your children, being at peace and being a support person is better than being right. Write that down. So your pride should be to the side. Your ego should be to the side. And again, it's going to want to creep its head. I'm not going to hold you. It's going to want to creep its head. However, you got to put your pride to the side and say, you know what, I'm going to take a back seat on this because my peace and the peace and atmosphere of my home is more important than me trying to win every case, right? Number 6, pick your battles and know when to engage versus disengage, right? So you have to, just like with your biological children, I think this is very apparent, but you're more likely to kind of ride and be up on top of your biological children because you know they won't hurt your feelings. When you're in the first couple of years of establishing your relationship with your bonus children, knowing when to engage and knowing when to disengage is going to be very important because, again, you want to become a safe space for that child or children. You don't want to seem like you're constantly riding them or you're coming and disrupting their world too much. Again, just like you are getting used to this blended family, so are they. And you as an adult have more tools in your toolbox in order to manage emotions that come along with blending their family. Oftentimes children do not. And so you need to be very mindful and be selfless. And again, put that pride and that ego to the side when you are handling them because we do not want to create wounds in our children and in our bonus children. So that is going to be key. Know when to engage and when to disengage, right? And then number 7, this goes along with that. You may need to allow the biological parents to discipline for the first couple of years, right? So you can say, hey, don't do that. Hey, sit down. Hey, get your homework done, right? You can acknowledge and instruct them to do stuff, but any type of punishments, whoopings, anything that you use as punishment or discipline in your household, save it for the biological parents to do that because again, in the beginning, you're the support person. You're building a foundation. You're trying to get to know the children. And so you coming in as an authoritative figure might be off-putting, right? Just like if you knew somebody at work, right? Or if you knew your upline, if you wouldn't like if your upline always comes down on you, your manager, your supervisor, your boss always comes down on you before setting that foundation, before showing you, hey, I really like you and establishing a rapport with you. The same goes with children. They got feelings and emotions too, sis. Like, we got to keep that in mind. Number 8, the children will need therapy or counseling to manage and work through their emotions. I know we as parents think that we can be the end all be all for our children, but we cannot. So getting them a person that they can talk to and to really be able to open up and to express how they're feeling about their new brother, their new sister, their new dad, their new mom is going to be critical because they should have a safe space to be able to say whatever they want to where they can get it out, they can release it, and then go back into that family and be functional and adjust really well, right? So be prepared to get your children counseling, even if you don't see them physically manifesting, even if you don't see them acting out, even if they are a good student or a good kid. You just never know what type of feelings they're harboring in their heart and in their bodies. And so to have a safe person that they can call their own, that's outside the home, that's unbiased, that's not team mom, that's not team dad, that's not team step brother, step sister, that's just for them, that they could just release and vent to. And those people are trained to help them work through their mindset, their problems, any depression, any anxiety, any frustration, right? Any negative thoughts, any intrusive thoughts. They are trained, therapists and counselors are trained to help people with that and children with that, right? We are not, right? And so you need to absolutely invest in counseling, therapy. Use your insurance. If you have a copay, sis, it's worth it. The mental state and the emotional state of your children and your bonus children, all of your children that's under your care, is absolutely worth the investment. All right. Number 9, ease them into your program. Sis, don't come in hot. Right? As the mom of the household, I have a way that I want my house set up. I have the way I want my house to look. I have a routine that I have for the children in my home. You have to realize these children came from a different home with a different set of rules, a different culture, a different way of life, and a different way of doing things. And so they might not be able to adjust to your schedule, to your program that you want for them right off. Wait until like year 2, year 3, year 4. Slowly introduce to them who you are and what you can teach to them little by little, right? Little by little, little by little, little by little. Always remember that. It can be very overwhelming to come in and shake up their world too quick. All right. So you got to remember that. Just be graceful. Just be easy. Just know, take a deep breath, right? Each and every day, you can add something new. You can pour into them. You can love on them. You can teach them something each and every year, but do not try to come in too hot and try to change their whole world. All right. Number 10, the feelings of mine versus ours is very real. Now, I was watching a couple YouTube videos before I got married, and it talked about the whole my children versus our children, or your children are doing this and my children aren't doing that when it comes to man and wife or husband and wife. And even with children, how the biological child of yours can feel more entitled to you or your time than the other children. Girl, that is so real. So be extremely intentional about calling out those behaviors in your biological children. Make sure that they are not telling or even putting off an energy saying, this is my mom, or this is my dad, or, this is my house and you came into it. Like, you have to, as the woman of the house, foster an atmosphere that we went from mine to ours, right? And it's no longer yours versus mine, you versus me, whatever the case is. And even with your husband, it can be tempting to do that. Your pride, your ego, your flesh could creep in, and that's normal. You're not a bad person when that happens. You just have to check it, because you too are acclimating to the children, to your husband, to the dynamic of everything. And so you have to give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up if sometimes you feel like that and you feel guilty for it. That happens at times, but just pivot, readjust, have a plan for it. You go to therapy yourself, right? As a woman, you need to have somebody outside your home that's team you, that's going to help you navigate how to be a fair mom, how to be an intentional mom, how to be a mom that does not choose sides, a mom that loves and welcomes each and every child that's in your home. If you need support with that, girl, go to therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's human nature to do mine versus ours, but you absolutely have the power to override that, all right? So those are the 10 things I wish I knew sooner when becoming a stepmom. I hope this blessed you. Let me know in the comment section if these tips or if any of this resonated with you, and if you have any other suggestions or anything that you went through or wish you knew, let me know in the comments below, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.